The silence in Riyadh is deafening. For 3 years, Cristiano Ronaldo has been the undisputed king of Saudi Arabian football. He arrived in January 2023 as a conquering hero, a five-time Ballon d'Or winner who would transform the Saudi Pro League into a global powerhouse. He scored 129 goals for Al Nassr across all competitions. He broke records. He became the poster boy for an entire nation's sporting ambition. And finally, after a wait that lasted more than 3 years, he lifted the Saudi Pro League trophy for the first time. But the celebration was short-lived. Because hours after the season ended, Ronaldo posted a message that sent shockwaves through the football world. This chapter is over. The caption was a hammer blow to the foundations of Saudi football. And then came the official statement from the club chairman. What was said next left everyone stunned. The words were diplomatic, measured, carefully chosen. But they confirmed the unthinkable. Cristiano Ronaldo's time in Saudi Arabia might be coming to an end. The chairman's statement has ignited a firestorm of speculation, controversy, and intense debate across the football world. What did he really say? Why did Ronaldo post that cryptic message? And what happens next for the greatest goalscorer in football history? Strap in, because this is the story of a legend at a crossroads and a kingdom fighting to hold on to its most valuable asset. To understand the gravity of the current situation, you have to go back to where it all began. In January 2023, Cristiano Ronaldo made the most shocking move in football history. After leaving Manchester United under a cloud of controversy, the Portuguese superstar chose to continue his career in Saudi Arabia, signing a deal with Al Nassr estimated to be worth more than €200 million. It was a decision that divided opinion across the football world. Critics accused him of chasing money and abandoning the competitive intensity of European football. Others called it sportswashing, a desperate attempt by the oil-rich kingdom to distract attention from its human rights record. But Ronaldo was clear about his motivations. "I'm a unique player. It's good to come here," he said at his grand unveiling. "I broke all the records there in Europe, and I want to break a few records here." He was not coming to Saudi Arabia to retire. He was coming to conquer. And conquer he did. Ronaldo scored 129 goals for Al Nassr across all competitions, an extraordinary return for a player in his late 30s. He became the face of the Saudi Pro League, his arrival setting the scene for an influx of big-name stars like Karim Benzema, N'Golo Kante, Riyad Mahrez, Sadio Mane, Neymar, and others. For 3 years, Ronaldo was the undisputed king of Saudi football, the poster boy for a nation's sporting ambitions. But there was one thing missing. One trophy that had eluded him. In 3 years at Al Nassr, he had never won a major domestic title. Until May 2026. On the final day of the season, with Al Nassr facing bitter rivals Al Hilal in what was described as perhaps the biggest league game in the country's history, Ronaldo scored twice in a 4-1 victory to secure Al Nassr's first championship since 2019. It was the ultimate image for the poster boy of Saudi football. Cristiano Ronaldo lifting the Saudi Pro League trophy. The title was a moment of vindication, not just for Ronaldo, but for the entire Saudi project. Officials in Riyadh will likely see an Al Nassr triumph as vindication of both Ronaldo's signing and of the decision to keep the club under PIF ownership, said Simon Chadwick, professor of Afro-Eurasian sport at Emlyon Business School. But the celebration was short-lived. Because hours after the season ended, Ronaldo posted a message that sent shockwaves through the football world. This chapter is over. The caption was a hammer blow to the foundations of Saudi football. What did it mean? Was he leaving? Was he simply reflecting on the season? The football world was left guessing, and the speculation was about to explode. The timing of Ronaldo's post could not have been more dramatic. Just hours after lifting the trophy he had been signed to win, he appeared to be announcing his departure. The post, which quickly went viral, was simple but devastating. This chapter is over. It was the kind of message that players post when they are leaving a club, a symbolic end to a journey. And for the millions of fans who had followed his career in Saudi Arabia, it felt like a goodbye. The football world was thrown into chaos. Was Ronaldo really leaving Al Nassr? Had he already decided to walk away after finally winning the title he was brought in to secure? The post was immediately interpreted as a farewell message, a sign that Ronaldo was ready for a new challenge. But the reality was far more complex. Behind the scenes, there was growing tension between the player and the club. Ronaldo had been increasingly frustrated with what he perceived as a lack of backing from the board in the transfer market. He reportedly felt that other PIF-owned clubs, particularly Al Hilal, were receiving preferential treatment. He was angry that the club had not done enough to build a team capable of competing at the highest level in Asia and beyond. The title victory had not been enough to quell his dissatisfaction. He wanted more. He wanted Al Nassr to match the ambition that he had brought to the club. And so, the post was not just a reflection on the season. It was a statement of intent. Ronaldo was signaling that he was ready to leave if his demands were not met. The "This chapter is over" message was a warning to Al Nassr and the Saudi Pro League. The king of Saudi football was threatening to walk away, and the kingdom was about to face the biggest test of its sporting project. In the wake of Ronaldo's cryptic post, the silence from Al Nassr was deafening. Fans and media were desperate for clarity. Was their star player leaving? Had he already made up his mind? The club's chairman finally broke the silence with a carefully worded statement that confirmed the worst fears of Al Nassr fans, while leaving just enough room for hope. The statement was diplomatic, measured, and politically astute. It did not confirm a departure, but it did confirm that Ronaldo's future was uncertain. "We are aware of the comments made by Cristiano. We are in ongoing discussions with his representatives about the next steps," the chairman said. "We remain committed to building a team that can compete at the highest level, and we hope that Cristiano will be a part of that future." The statement was a masterclass in ambiguity. It acknowledged the tension without admitting to a crisis. It expressed a desire to keep Ronaldo while signaling that the club was prepared for a potential departure. The chairman's carefully chosen words were designed to calm the fears of fans and investors, while also protecting the club's position in any future negotiations. The message was clear. Al Nassr wanted Ronaldo to stay, but they were not going to be held hostage by his demands. The statement set the stage for a high-stakes negotiation that would determine the future of both the player and the club. The reaction to the statement was immediate and intense. Fans took to social media to express their views, with many calling on the club to do everything possible to keep their star player. Others, however, were more critical, arguing that Ronaldo had become bigger than the club and that his demands were unreasonable. The media was split, with some outlets claiming that Ronaldo had already decided to leave and others insisting that the situation could still be resolved. The chairman's statement had not provided clarity. It had only added to the confusion and the drama. As the speculation over Ronaldo's future intensified, one name kept coming up: Real Madrid. Reports emerged that Ronaldo had offered to return to the club, where he had won 4 Champions League titles and established himself as one of the greatest players in history. The proposed return was a romantic notion, a chance for Ronaldo to end his career where he had achieved his greatest success. But Real Madrid had a different view. According to reports, the club had made a firm decision on whether to re-sign the Portuguese superstar, and the answer was no. Ronaldo feels competitive, continues to score goals regularly, and believes he can still contribute to European football, a report explained. However, the club doesn't see it that way. The decision was reportedly driven by head coach Alvaro Arbeloa, who believed that a Ronaldo return would pose an unnecessary risk internally. Even if Ronaldo was willing to accept a secondary role, Arbeloa did not believe that his presence could coexist without creating tension in the dressing room. It was a damning assessment of Ronaldo's legacy at the club he had once called home. The Real Madrid rejection was a significant blow to Ronaldo's hopes of a European return. If the club where he had achieved his greatest success was not interested, where else could he go? Manchester United were also reportedly uninterested in a return for their former star. The relationship between Ronaldo and the club had soured dramatically after his explosive interview in 2022, and the wounds had not healed. With his former clubs closing the door, Ronaldo's options were becoming increasingly limited. The dream of a romantic return to Europe was fading, and the reality of a continued stay in Saudi Arabia, or a move elsewhere, was becoming the most likely outcome. One of the most intriguing developments in the saga was the reported involvement of Ronaldo in Al Nassr's transfer strategy. According to multiple reports, Ronaldo had taken on an increasingly active role in the club's recruitment, and he was personally working to convince his Portugal teammate Bruno Fernandes to join him in Saudi Arabia. The idea was simple. Ronaldo wanted to create a Portuguese core at Al Nassr and Bruno Fernandes was the perfect player to lead it. The Manchester United captain was reportedly frustrated with the lack of progress on a new contract at Old Trafford, and Al Nassr saw an opportunity to lure him to the Middle East. Ronaldo was said to be playing a key role in the charm offensive, using his personal relationship with Fernandes to sell the Saudi project. The reports suggested that Al Nassr would need to pay around $85.3 million to secure the midfielder's signature, a significant but not impossible sum for the cash-rich club. The move would be a major statement of intent, showing that Al Nassr was serious about competing at the highest level and that Ronaldo was central to the club's plans. But it also raised questions about Ronaldo's influence at the club. Was he effectively running the transfers? Was he the de facto sporting director? Reports suggested that Ronaldo had imposed a new law at Al Nassr, demanding full control over the transfer file. According to press reports, Ronaldo was looking to impose his conditions on how the club was run, insisting that the sporting staff, led by the duo of Simeone and Semedo, be handed complete independence and total authority over transfers, free from any administrative interference. Ronaldo wanted every decision on incoming and outgoing players made on clear technical criteria, away from any internal obstacles. It was a power play that demonstrated Ronaldo's determination to build a team capable of competing at the highest level. But it also suggested that the player had become bigger than the club, and that his influence was potentially destabilizing. The FIFA Club World Cup was the wild card that could have changed everything. The tournament, which was expanded and held in the United States in 2026, presented a unique opportunity for Ronaldo to continue his career at the highest level. FIFA President Gianni Infantino had even made a public appeal for clubs to sign Ronaldo for the tournament, creating a specially made mini transfer window to allow players to move just in time for the competition. The path was clear for Ronaldo to sign a short-term deal with a new team just in time to take part. And given his connection to Saudi Arabia, rumors began to circulate about a move to Al Hilal, the country's most successful team and its sole representative at the Club World Cup. The problem was that Al Hilal and Al Nassr are cross-city rivals in Riyadh. And even if Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund majority owns both teams, that was a step too far. As much as I respect Ronaldo as a huge player, as we all recognize he is, it's certainly completely counterintuitive that you bring the biggest player of your biggest opponent to play with you. Al Hilal chief executive Esteve Calzada told the BBC. The rivalry was too intense, the symbolism too damaging. Ronaldo joining Al Hilal would have been a betrayal of everything he had stood for at Al Nassr. And so, the Club World Cup dream died. Ronaldo would not be playing in the tournament, and his hopes of continuing his career on the biggest stage were dealt a significant blow. The Club World Cup saga highlighted the contradictions of the Saudi project. The kingdom had spent billions of dollars to attract the world's best players, but the intense rivalry between clubs meant that certain moves were simply impossible. Al Hilal could not sign Al Nassr's biggest star, no matter how much the PIF wanted it to happen. The boundaries were tested, but they could not be broken. Ronaldo's future remained unresolved. The final piece of the puzzle was the involvement of the Public Investment Fund, PIF, the sovereign wealth fund behind a number of big-ticket Saudi investments, including the ownership of Al Nassr, Al Hilal, and Al Ahly. According to a source from the PIF, there was an ongoing difficult negotiation to convince Ronaldo to stay and play in the Saudi Pro League next season. The source revealed that the first option was a transfer to Al Hilal with an opportunity to feature in the FIFA Club World Cup or to Asian champion Al Ahly. The fact that the PIF was directly involved in the negotiations indicated the scale of the crisis. Ronaldo was not just a player, he was the face of the Saudi project, and his departure would have been a devastating blow. The negotiations were described as difficult, a sign that Ronaldo was not easily persuaded. The source emphasized Ronaldo's importance to the league, saying, "Ronaldo's presence is a key factor in developing the Saudi league in the last 2.5 years. He opens the door for elite and young players to come to Saudi Arabia." The PIF was willing to go to great lengths to keep him, but the players' demands were significant. The saga was a test of the Saudi project's resilience, and the outcome would determine the future of the league. But as the negotiations dragged on, the PIF was facing a fundamental question. Could they build a long-term project around a 41-year-old player who was demanding increasing levels of control? Ronaldo's legacy was secure, but his influence was becoming a liability. The club had to balance the short-term benefits of keeping the world's most famous player against the long-term need to build a sustainable structure. The PIF negotiations were the final act of a drama that had captivated the football world. Ronaldo's time in Saudi Arabia was not without controversy. In February, he was suspended for one match and fined 30,000 riyals, $8,000, for a gesture he made on the pitch that was judged a provocation. Video emerged after his side's 3-2 win against Al-Shabaab, showing Ronaldo making a repeated thrusting gesture towards his groin in response to crowds taunting him by chanting the name of his longtime rival, Lionel Messi. The content quickly went viral and surged to the top of Saudi social media trending topics. Ronaldo claimed the gesture expressed strength and victory and was considered acceptable in Europe, but the Saudi football body was not convinced. The suspension was a reminder that Ronaldo's fame came with a price, and that his actions were always under scrutiny. The controversy extended beyond the pitch. Critics accused Ronaldo of being a sports washer, a tool used by Saudi Arabia to distract attention from its human rights record. Amnesty International urged him to speak out about human rights issues in the deeply conservative monarchy. The criticism was a constant backdrop to his time in Saudi Arabia, and it followed him wherever he went. Ronaldo, for his part, rarely engaged with the criticism, focusing instead on his football. But the accusations of sports washing were a reminder that his move to Saudi Arabia was about more than just football. There was also a growing sense that the Saudi Pro League was losing its appeal. The days when the media was full of rumors about big-name players heading to the league had gone. According to sources in Riyadh, there were still funds available for the right veteran superstar, but the focus was shifting towards bringing in younger players with sell-on value. Ronaldo's potential departure was a sign of a changing era. The Saudi project was entering a new phase, and the king of the league was facing an uncertain future. So what happens next for Cristiano Ronaldo? The options are limited, but they are not non-existent. A return to Europe appears unlikely, with both Real Madrid and Manchester United reportedly uninterested. A move to Sporting Lisbon, his boyhood club, has been floated as a romantic possibility. A return to Sporting would have an immeasurable historical and emotional impact, a report claimed. For the player, it would mean closing the circle of an unforgettable career. But the club would need to find the funds to secure his signature, and that would be a challenge. Staying at Al Nassr is the most likely outcome. The PIF is reportedly in difficult negotiations to keep him, and the club is willing to make significant concessions to retain its star player. But Ronaldo's demands are significant. He wants full control over the transfer file. He wants the club to build a team capable of competing in Asia and beyond. He wants to be the king of the project, not just a player. The negotiations are a test of the PIF's willingness to accommodate a player who has become bigger than the club. And then there is the possibility of a move to another Saudi club, though that would be a controversial step. A transfer to Al Hilal or Al Ahly would be a dramatic twist in the saga, a move that would betray the loyalty of Al Nassr fans. But the PIF source revealed that a transfer to Al Hilal was the first option. The kingdom wants to keep Ronaldo in Saudi Arabia, and if Al Nassr cannot meet his demands, another Saudi club might be willing to do so. The thought of Ronaldo playing in the colors of Al Hilal, the bitter rivals of Al Nassr, would be a staggering development in the already dramatic story. As one observer noted, Ronaldo's potential Saudi departure could signal that the Saudi project is entering a new phase, one less reliant on the megastar who opened the floodgates. It might be, as some have suggested, a last hurrah of a bygone era.